completed the problem statement, the assessment overview, sample response 2, activity 2, as well as the layout for the marking rubric. So for the problem statement, I decided to make it engaging by including a turntable of the images of the animals that the students could choose from between a whale, a turtle, and a dugong. I also provided a clear understanding of what they need to complete for the task, as well as the stages that they will be doing for their task. So activity 1, activity 2, and activity 3. For the assessment task overview, I created a table so that it shows a clear understanding of what the students need to focus on for their assignment, which also includes the content outcomes, the content, the purpose, and the submission of their assignment. At the bottom, I also included the design and production skills that they will be needing for the assignment and how they can meet those. For activity 2, I provided clear instructions so that the students can understand what they are doing for their task, as well as some useful links they are able to use to help them create their posters. The marking rubric, I created the layout of the marking rubric for both the assessment as well as the activities. My group and I agreed on having the 4 standards they need to meet. I completed the planning and creating a poster for activity 2, which, as you can see, progresses into the different levels of how they are supposed to get a high achieving mark. And this is also the same layout, but for the assessment task. I included little images for the marking rubrics for both the assessment task and the activities to be a bit more engaging. And finally, the student sample response. I created a clear sample response that I believe a Year 4 student would achieve. So I used both technology and drawing. So I used the technology aspect as a part of the brainstorm that the students would have to create before they go into drawing their plan for the aquarium, which I then used a poster board as well as pens and paper and printed off some images so that they still also incorporate a little bit of the use of technology through the images that they have used.
Assessment description, activity 1, marking rubric, student sample 1, development notes and references. Here you can see we have the assessment description page. In this assessment task, they are to create a pitch. So we have done a brief outline on what they need to do, as well as provided a few resources in which they can use to create their pitch. We also have step-by-step tutorials on websites such as Prezi and Powtoon, and then below we have the instructions on what they need to do in order to achieve good marks in this and to remain on track so no group is at a disadvantage. Then we have activity 1, and this is where they research their animal. So they must choose from a whale, a turtle, or a dugong, which we have clearly stated here twice. And then we have their instructions on how they're meant to conduct their research with a few hints in between. Then we also have useful links such as web pages and videos in which will provide them information on their chosen animal, although it is expected from them to conduct their own research to gain more marks. Next, we have our marking rubric for the activities. I conducted research activity 1. So as you can see, it progresses from need improvement to excellent, and this is basically assessing how well their information, how well they have conducted their research, as well as if it's relevant to the topic, and if they have used multiple links. I also did spelling and grammar, and this is basically just going through and assessing if they have shown good spelling, punctuation and grammar with little errors. That's when they will receive higher marks. And then we have the effectiveness of the pitch, and this is basically just saying how descriptive, informative and persuasive it is, and if it's well designed for the target audience, as well as if they have explained each component in their pitch clearly and extensively. Next we have activity 1 sample. So we have done it on turtles as our sample, and it basically I want this to be one that the students can do to receive high marks. So there are a lot of dot points. It goes into detail in some areas, as well as stuff that will help them in the next activity. Next, we have development notes, and this is basically what we did each week and what we were assigned to do. And that just goes into a little bit more detail. And next we have our references, which is a compilation of either the videos that were on the pages, the links, or just some information we used throughout the assessment task.
I, Stephanie, in my group EDTS240 assignment, did the Welcome Year 4 page. Basically, I did the headers of all the pages to engage the students in an aquarium. I did some puns and some language that Year 4 would understand. Basically, in the introduction, the welcome page, I just did the purpose of the site for students to understand what they'll be going into, such as creating their eco-friendly aquarium for their endangered sea creature, and basically what the project-based learning experience will include. I did activity 3, which is they're going to design and share part of their project-based learning experience, designing their aquarium and sharing it to the classroom. Basically, I included what they'll be doing, some tips. Here are some examples of Minecraft. It's important to include links for children who find it difficult to create their aquarium, and basically their steps on how to share. To do it on iMovie Prezi, because sharing is just as important as creating, to show their understanding of their experience. We chose Minecraft because we thought it'd be a good technology for students to actually show how their aquarium design, because they're actually very specific in their designs. Their sample, the marking rubric. I incorporated the Minecraft design for students to show us how they've designed. Their design and production skills, so their skills on how they've demonstrated the pitch and the tools they've used, teamwork, as it is very important to work as a team, and the effectiveness of speech of the pitch, because I want to see how they actually present their ideas to the class. Their sample responses. I created the Minecraft design, which was actually, as the project-based learning experience discovered, there were very challenging problems, such as there weren't ramps or rocks, and I had to think on my feet, which is good for students to be challenged and create they could have been create a different design to what they interpreted it to be, such as including 2 aquariums where they can go underground. This took a while, a few days, underestimated it, and it is very good for students to be challenged, I believe, inside their thing and show what they have created at the end.